everyone, I'm Heather. I'm back for a really quick video and I think this one might actually be fast. What? I'm basically just going to talk about my TBR for a readathon coming up in December that I want to do, which is the Bias Breaker Readathon. So I heard about this readathon from Shan and Bert on their channel Past Storytime because they're co-hosting it. I think there are like 6 co-hosts or 9 co-hosts or something, like 3 per team, and there's 3 teams. It was created, the whole thing, by Kat at Biblio Obscura. So I'm going to link everything for the readathon, everything you need to know if you want to do it, down below. But each of the teams are sort of spread out, like each of the hosts are spread out through the teams. So Shan ended up on one team and Bert on another, and then there's another team as well. And I was sort of looking at the prompts and everything, trying to decide which one I wanted to do, and I think the one in Shan's team, Interstellar Spy, those are the ones I want to do. So I've decided to go with Team Interstellar Spy, and I feel like there's deep irony there because I would be a terrible spy. But other than that, it's all for imagination, folks. I feel like this is fine. But each of the prompts and everything, like there's a group of prompts to do with everybody that does a readathon, and then there's a group of prompts to do like for each team. So all in all, my prompts are going to be, first one, which is the group book. So everyone reads this book unless you're likely to be triggered by any of the 1,000 triggering things in the book. In which case I think you can meet this challenge doing something else. Like, it's all in Kat's video below. But the book is Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. She wrote Convenience Store Woman, which is what made me sort of think, as soon as I saw it in the bookstore ages ago, I was like, yes, I am getting that. I don't even care what it's about because I loved Convenience Store Woman. The main character in that, the actual Convenience Store Woman, is one of the best characters. I just love her. She's one of my favorite characters in all the books I've ever read. So this one is like quite triggering to do with like abuse and things like that. Mainly this girl, she goes away to the mountains or something to stay with people every summer, and horrendous things happen to her there. It doesn't sort of specify what it is, but I think it's to do with abuse, or like specifically sexual abuse maybe, or something like that. Like, if you need to know specifically what bad things happen to her, I would check Kat's video just to make sure you're going to be cool with reading it. But then sort of she's grown up and she's like in this marriage she's not very happy in, and she has a reunion with one of the people who she knew from the mountains or something like that. Will he still remember their promise, and will he help her keep it? Ooh, don't know what the promise is. I'm pretty excited. Like, I've done a flick through just to sort of like dip in a bit, and yeah, it's weird. I'm so in. Okay, so the next prompt is a book with a non-binary, gender fluid, or genderqueer author or main character. So I'm going to go with this one that I've wanted to read for ages, actually. Never quite gotten around to it. The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. So my kid and I have read a couple other ones, Jen Wang. I think Stargazer or something like that. Can't remember the actual title, but I'll put it up here. And it's what got my kid into K-pop. And my kid's obsessed with K-pop now. So Jen Wang, she's life-changing and very active in the development of my child. So this particular one, so it's a graphic novel. I believe it's like a kid's one, like middle grade. But it's about this prince. His family is looking for someone for him to marry because they need a princess in the family, obviously. But he is not really interested in that. He's interested in his nighttime activities, which are dressing up in like fabulous, like super intense fashion dresses and like going out on the town and being like a fashion icon. And he's got this best friend who makes all his dresses for him, but it's a super intense secret because none of his family can know that. As a prince who needs to find a princess for the family, he goes out at night and wears dresses, and just like that's his main obsession with life. But I'm really excited about it. And depending on how fast I want to read it and how like intensely I want to get into it, I may read it with my kid as well and see if she likes it. Okay, so the next one is a book that is by an Indigenous author or has an Indigenous main character. And for this one, I'm going to use the like 90s book club, my so-called book club pick for this month, which is White Sky Black Ice by Stan Jones, I think. Yeah, Stan Jones. So this one's really exciting. I'm pretty excited about this one. And I feel like it's slightly cheating in the Indigenous section in that he is indigenous. He's like part of like a northern indigenous community, like a Nupia, I think. But he was adopted out of the community. Like he's a state trooper or like a detective or policeman, something like that. So he was born into the community, was adopted out by a white family and like raised in Anchorage, just like in, you know, a main city. But then as a cop, he's called back to this community in the north, in this indigenous community, to investigate murders and sort of like mysterious deaths and disappearances and stuff like that. So I love me a crime drama. I love me, you know, a bunch of murders. I love me a northern icy setting when it's sort of like getting for Christmas time. Super excited. And I like that I'm killing two birds with one stone here, really. Doing the 90s book club and the Biospeaker Readathon prompt. So the next prompt is like a midway secret prompt, which I don't know how I feel about, to be honest. Like we don't find out what the prompt is until midway through the readathon. So I should have said, sorry, at the beginning, that the readathon runs from like the 4th to the 20th of December. So it's not the full amount of December. It's only like 2 weeks or so, roughly. So it's, I guess, sort of after the first week, we then get an announcement that the next prompt or whatever, this midway prompt, is this, and then you've got to figure out a book to do with that, mainly probably one you already have that sort of fits in some way, and then read that one as well. Part of me is like, awesome, I love a surprise, but also part of me is like, what if I don't have a book that meets that? Is like my completist mind gonna be really upset by the fact that it doesn't fit properly? Like, only God knows. We'll see how it goes from there. Okay, so the last prompt is a book set in, or a book from, a country you know nothing about. So this one was a bit hard for me actually, because not because I know like everything about every country ever, but because the countries I find super interesting, I read a lot about them and know a lot about them, and the ones that I don't really know that much about and don't read a lot about, I think just naturally less interesting. I don't know, like so I had to sort of specifically, like I'd read something and be like, oh, that sounds really interesting, and then be like, oh, but it's in such and such country, which I read all about. And then I'd find one that was from a country that I read less about and be like, I don't know, like that's not as interesting. So like I had to sort of pull myself out and like specifically go through loads of them. And I tore apart like every year of the NPR book concierge, desperately looking for something. And I think that I found something really good. So for some reason or another, I don't really know why, but I don't read a lot of books about Chile. Not that it's not interesting, I just don't know, tend not to get to it or something. And this one, Space Invaders by Nona Fernandez, looks really good, and it's set in Chile. So, Space Invaders is the story of a group of childhood friends during the waning years of the Pinochet regime who, in adulthood, are preoccupied by uneasy memories and visions of their classmate Estrella. They recall regimented school assemblies, nationalistic class performances, and a trip to the beach. In their dreams, they catch glimpses of Estrella's braids, hear echoes of her voice, and read old letters she sent that eventually, mysteriously stopped arriving. These children were old enough to sense the danger and tension that surrounded them, but powerless in the face of it. They could control only the stories they told each other and the ghostly green bullets they fired in the video game they played obsessively. In this short but intricately layered novel, Nona Fernandez summons the collective memory of a generation, rescuing felt truth from the oblivion of official history. What? That sounds so good, right? Oh my god. I can't believe I didn't notice this. Like, I reckon, okay, there are a lot of books on the NPR Book Concierge, and I tend to sort of devour it in a day. So, you know, yeah, it's likely that I missed a couple. I don't know how I missed this one, to be honest. It looks so good, and it's like quite digestible, if you look. Sort of each page, like, it's sort of written in like little small accounts and things like that. Like The House on Mango Street. Did anyone read that? It's sort of similar like that, and it's sort of easily digestible and sort of more about making you think than about giving you a narrative. And I love the idea of this. I'm so excited, and I'm so glad that I found this readathon, because it forced me to go through and find this one that I would have otherwise missed. I hope it's super good though, to be honest, because loads of times I think this is going to be the best book ever, and then I read it and it was a letdown. So I really hope this is going to be as good as I think it is. But I have raised the bar pretty high just right now, accidentally. We'll see. Okay, so that's it. If you want to know about the other teams or like what the other prompts are, anything like that, again, it's all going to be down below if you have any thoughts about it, like if you want to do it as well, if you have other ideas that fit the prompts, if you have books that you think that I would like based on these books, or if you've read these books, blah, 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 please let me know. In my last video I did, YouTube was playing games with me, which it likes to do sometimes, which it like keeps turning off my comments. Like, someone will sort of let me know through something else, like Insta or Voxer or something, that the comments are turned off on my video, and I'll be like, but what? And then I'll go through and turn them on, and then they'll be on, I can see them, and I'll get a comment, and then they'll get turned off again. So hopefully this one stays active, because I do like to get like recommendations and like, you know, your thoughts about these various books, just so I know like what to expect going in, and like if there's any other ones that I've missed or whatever. If you see below that the comments are turned off, it was on accident. And if you want to leave me a comment, just let me know, like via, like I'll put all my other stuff down below as well, like my Insta and my Twitter and everything like that. Just like drop me a thing really quickly and be like, Heather, the YouTubes are messing with you again and turned off your comments, and I want to tell you about so and so amazing book. But anyway, I will see you next time. See, that was quick, right?